notes rundown. Hey all, we're finally at the halfway point of the season. Thank God, guys. Season 10 will be better. How's your rank climb going? Don't ask. How are your TFT games going? I don't play that game. For more detail, blah, 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 blah. With these points in mind, here are the counters that will be added to specific champions in 9.14. Anti-shield, anti-healing, flat damage reduction, improvements to true sight mechanics, and anti-mobility. So basically what Riot's trying to do with this patch is provide like more specific counters into the game within already existing champions. And I'm not totally sold on it because I think adding these things into the game is a good idea, but you should do it through items, not through champions. Or if you're going to do it through champions, you should design a champion from the ground up. I'm not totally on board with the idea of just applying these things sporadically, sprinkling them around. Like Blitzcrank's getting a shield breaking ability on his ultimate, and Renekton's getting one on his W, and it doesn't really make any sense why those champions get it and others don't. But let's go through and go in with an open mind. So here it is. R, his static field now removes shields on enemies before its other effects. So, breaks shields. There it is. And it's also on Renekton's W. We just talked about this. So now when he has an empowered W, it breaks shields. Anti-healing champions. Katarina now reduces healing. Kled now reduces healing. Fizz and Leona. This I have a lot to say about. Leona and Fizz will now be a little stronger against opponents with death by 1,000 cuts type of damage patterns like on hit and DOT champions. Fizz gets it in his passive, where he just gets that, you know, against all sources of damage. And here we get to Leona. Wow, do I have a lot to say about this. So, they tried out a couple of changes with Leona. Most were scrapped. This one, for some reason, stayed on, despite basically everyone in the Leona community telling them this is a terrible, terrible change. So let's go through it. W Eclipse. This is her ability that makes her tanky. Eclipse now grants 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 pre-mitigation damage reduction, maximum of 50% reduction. Armor that it grants is now lowered, significantly in the lower levels and a little bit in the early. And magic resist, same thing, significantly in the later levels, not that much in the early, not at all in the early actually. Solar Flare, she is losing the ultimate on her passive. She is losing the ultimate on her passive to compensate for these buffs. Now let me tell you a couple reasons why that's a terrible idea. Leona is losing the ultimate on her passive. What is Leona's passive on her ultimate? Some of you are probably asking. When Leona uses her ultimate, she gets 3 empowered auto attacks. These proc Sunlight and also deal roughly 50 to 80 magic damage depending on what point of the game that you're in. So, did you know that? If you did, you probably are a good Leona player. Or, I mean, I even know pretty decent Leona players that don't know about it. So I understand why they're taking away that part of the kit, because it's just an unknown kind of extra bit that doesn't need to be there. But if you're going to remove that much damage out of Leona's kit, that much agency, that much things that she's able to get done on her own, you need to give her an actual buff. And why this isn't an actual good buff, like it said, it's designed to be good against on-hit and DOT champions. Brand and Zyra are the biggest DOT champions in the bot lane. Brand and Zyra are already champions that Leona destroys in lane. She does not have problems with those matchups at all. She already wins those. Those are some of the few matchups that she literally just walks up to them, breathes on them, and they dies. So why is she being made even better against the champion she's already good against? It just doesn't make sense. The fact that we're losing 25 armor in the late game is also pretty devastating. That's basically an entire item's worth of armor. Same for magic resist. I think this is an absolute terrible dookie doo-doo change. Not to mention, I made an entire video called the Optimized DPS Combo, where people who actually know what they're doing with Leona can utilize those 3 empowered auto attacks from Leona. You open the chain combo with your WR, and then you do an auto, Q auto, E. There's a lot of animation canceling, but basically, if you knew what you were doing, that passive was important to squeezing every little bit of damage out of Leona. So I hate to see it go. That's really stupid that they're taking it out and giving us this as a compensation buff. I think it's a really terrible idea. And if any Riot balance design is watching this, please contact me, and I'd love to talk to you about it, because this is a really bad change. Anyways, let's move on. True Sight Champions. While these abilities already provide True Sight, we're taking them a step further and extending the True Sight effect beyond these champions' ability. Sorry, one last thing I need to mention. Not done talking about Leona. One last reason why this is a bad idea. I don't think people realize how much damage you're actually losing. It's not just the 3 empowered auto attacks, it's 3 procs of Sunlight. We did the math. At level 12, when you're dropping your full combo, you're losing about 400 damage from Leona, if you include the Sunlight that her allies are procking. So all 3 of those empowered auto attacks are procking Sunlight, and your allies are popping that Sunlight. So it's about 400 damage that you're losing if you take this passive out. 400 damage in your combo. That's half of a life bar for most champions. This is not good enough to compensate for that. Give it back. Give it back. Okay, now I'm moving on, I promise. True Sight Champions. While these abilities already provide True Sight, we're taking them a step further and extending the True Sight effect beyond these champions' abilities. Tyler's known to the complete CC. I'm okay with that. That's fine. This is more of just like a cleaning it up. It already did this. We're just extending it a little bit more and making the gameplay sense a little clearer. I'm okay with someone like Karma giving True Sight. It makes sense with her champion, and it just doesn't really make sense that she has it during the tether and then not during the CC. So this doesn't bother me at all. I'm fine with this. Anti-mobility champions. Because mobility is such a prominent feature on many mainstay champions, we're increasing the power and number of anti-mobility options players have against them. This should open up more opportunities for Ahri, Cassie, and Poppy to outplay their slippery opponents with increasing their overall power. Charm now cancels in-progress dashes. Now, what I would love to know is, does this still stop Malphite ult? Because that is supposed to be unstoppable. To a lesser extent than the True Sight stuff, I'm okay with this as well. Here, I'm not going to go through the exact changes because I'm not a big Cassiopeia player, so there it is. I do like this. I do really think that mobility creep has been a serious problem in design philosophy for Riot for a while. Every champion that comes out basically has 1 to infinity amount of dashes. I mean, look at Yuumi. And mobility creep has gotten pretty ridiculous. So I like that there is a champion that just straight up says, nope, you're not being mobile this game. And I like that they're like further cementing that as Poppy's identity. Because if you watch any of my videos, you know I like champions with strong design identities. They do 1 or 2 things very well and are very bad at other things. Champion balance. Aatrox. They just cannot let these 2 champions go, can they? Despite the adjustments we made over the past couple of patches, Aatrox has remained a stalwart presence in pro play. We're making him less reliable as a blind pick with the removal of revives from his ultimate. Fair. Fair enough. So they've removed the revive, and they've just basically made his ultimate like even better than it already was, which is kind of scary. Akali. This is another soft rework. I think there's a lot of content creators out there, Professor Akali, you know, the mainstays, that will give you a much better rundown of this. I'll scroll slowly so you can read it if you want, but I'm not going to go into that. Alistar, base mana and mana growth increased. Giving Alistar a boost in average play without making him overbearing in pro. The increase in mana helps those who may struggle with managing through resources. This is kind of a whatever buff. I don't think this is going to change Alistar. I think this is... Alistar is one of those champs where he has few truly terrible matchups because Alistar, unlike someone like Leona and Blitzcrank, is inherently useful just by being in the lane. He can disengage, he can engage at will, and he's got a little tiny bit of sustain built in. So, you know, I don't think this is going to change too much, for better or worse. Aurelion Sol, Qmax stun duration and radius growth per second increased. So the stun duration is... Oh, wow. It's kind of a lot of time. It's traveling for 5 seconds. So they're trying to... Remember when Aurelion Sol was getting teased and we saw all those like crazy YouTube videos of like a planet-sized stun coming down mid lane? We're like, oh my god, dude, that's so game-breaking. That's so crazy. He literally has like an entire lane stunned up. And then you never, ever see that in game. They're just trying to make that happen once or twice per season. I respect that. I see you, Riot. Probably still not going to change anything, though. The Bard. Base health increased health regen decreased. Base health increased, health regen decreased. E travel speed increased, ally bonus speed flattened. Okay, let's get into this. We're shifting some of Bard's durability around to help him survive all-ins with his teams, and speeding up his tunnel mobility for stronger early game ganks. A little bit of a health increase, regen decreased, travel speed is boosted up, and the ally... Okay, so this is an overall buff for Bard. Not a crazy buff, but I consider this a buff for sure. Especially because for the first 3 ranks, really until you put the 4th point into Q or into E, this is a big buff. So you're taking it from 10 to 33, and your base is 900. Buff! Pretty good buff, actually. I like it. Diana, passive and R bug fixes. Q arc speed decreased, W cost bug fix. Nothing interesting there. Galio, passive cooldown reduction removed, cooldown decreased, damage increased. Q cooldown and damage increased, cost decreased late. W now interruptible by CC. That is a good change. I don't think that there should be literally zero counterplay to champions like Galio and honestly Gragas. I've always kind of had a problem with Gragas, and I think Sejuani can do it as well, where they begin their dash and they animation cancel, or Galio begins charging his taunt and animation cancels, and there's no real counterplay. You get flashed on and you instantly get locked up. The only counterplay comes in when you see him doing it in one area, and then you assume that he's going to flash, so you preemptively flash. So I don't think that that should, and that's not even real counterplay. That's just you, that's like mind gaming, you know what I mean? I'm okay with that change. Honestly, yeah, I've always kind of had a problem with things like that. Gragas that can cancel his dash as well, and even to an extent the Pyke E. Pyke E, and then if it's not on you, you can assume he's going to flash and redirect it onto you. I've always kind of, you basically get instantly stunned. I think they should do something with that too as well, but I like the changes overall. Probably going to move Galio away from a support, honestly, though. Restricts flash during channel. That is all we needed to do. It's all you gotta do. Restrict the flash during the channel. That would fix a lot of the BS things they got going on. Alright, Jhin. W cooldown decreased, root duration increased. Alright, adding some power into the part of Jin's kit that rewards timing and coordination. Cooldown, boom. Root duration, boom. Wow. Buff. Hard buff. Really hard buff. This is going to... I mean, this isn't going to, like, solo... This isn't going to, like, solo buff, hard buff Jhin, but it's going to buff a lot of lanes where, like, let's say you're playing Leona Jhin, and Jhin lands a snare, and you've just got just enough time to, like, you need just a little more time of him being snared for you to land your combo. Like, he can set up combos now. So this is buffing the fact that, like, he, like I said, coordinates with his team and can CC chain. Lux into the shredder, baby! Q cooldown increased early, decreased late. Cost flattened. W double shield on return removed. Bye-bye Lux support. Shields ratio increased, shield duration increased. Yeah, bye-bye Lux support. Hello Lux in the mid lane. R cooldown reset removed, but the cooldown decreases late. Significantly, if I saw it right. 10 seconds. Okay, so not that significant, honestly. But it's got a bigger ratio. Yep. Bye-bye Lux support. It's been fun. Not really, honestly. You were broken for way too long. Yeah. Usually I hate to see champions, like, you know, arbitrarily removed away from the bot lane and the support lane, or the support role. But, dude, Lux, you had your time, man. You've been broken for like 2 seasons. Malphite! The rework's finally here, boys. The rework's finally here. Q slow increased. Slow duration decreased. W empowered basic attacks on cast and cleaves in a cone, and you can also animation cancel it. They better have let that in. They better have left that in. Malphite is one of League's oldest champions, and we all know that Rolling Stones gather no moss. To that end, we're giving the Shard of the Monolith a giant quality of life update that should make his abilities feel more satisfying to use. His Q should look and feel more responsive, and his W now resets his auto swing attack. Guys, Most people. I'm a big Malphite fan. Huge Malphite fan. I play him AP support. He is incredibly outdated. And I love that they have reworked him and given him quality of life updates without reworking him, without making him an unrecognizable monstrosity. I love it. They did simple things like shifting power around. He still feels like Malphite. The update feels great. I promise. I've played it several times. The W, it opens up new opportunities for all kinds of new combos. It feels fluid. It sounds cool. It's called Thunderclap now. It's got a cool name. A+ on this. Good job, Riot. Yeah, new VFX and everything. And also when you ult, it leaves a crater. It's really cool. Mordekaiser, passive base damage decreased, E-magic penetration decreased late. Even after hotfixes, Mordekaiser's too strong. I really hope they find a good way to balance Mordekaiser, because I think he's, even though a lot of people say he's busted, and he is, and a lot of people don't like playing against him, he's a good design. They took an unrecognizable, stupid, unreadable mess. I've played this game for years, and I've duoed with many high elo Mordekaiser one-tricks, and I still don't know what that champion did. I genuinely don't. And I know exactly what the new one does, and that right there means it's a much better design. Nidalee, Cougar E base magic increase. This is a big patch, bro. This is a big patch. Cougar E base damage increase. Okay, whatever. E now stuns non-champions. R deals reduced damage to surviving enemies. Now grants Pyke additional your cuts go. What? Now, R deals reduced damage to surviving enemies. Now grants Pyke an additional your cut gold as well? Pyke's 913 damage had the intended outcome of equalizing performance between support and solo Pyke, but left solo Pyke with some room for buffs. So these are intended for Pyke solo buffs. Phantom Undertow now stuns non-champions. Still does no damage to them. I still think that should be in the game. I still think it should be dealing damage to champions. It's ridiculous for a champion to have literally no form of wave clear, but whatever. Death from Below. Deals 50% reduced damage to enemies that survive Death from Below. Okay. That's harsh. 50% of your damage, but okay. When Pyke kills an enemy with Death from Below, the last assisting ally and Pyke are granted your cut. When Pyke assists on a kill following Death from Below, he receives 2 your cut. Am I reading this right? Is he getting twice as much gold as he used to? Chat, help me out here. Am I being an idiot right now? He's getting twice as much gold, right? Death from Below's icon now shows next to Pyke's health bar when it can be cast for free. So that's just quality of life. That scared me.
Poge.
Yo, improved crap score coming in 11 months. Get some Ioki gas in the chat. Pyke mains rise up. He is going to be getting twice as much gold. That's crazy. That's huge. This is like, how are people not talking about this? Anyways, Rise. Base health regen and health. They just can't let this champ go, can they? Rise, maybe you'll be balanced in League of Legends too. Singed. Q recast timer increased. Brighter ability icon when toggled on in the spell bar. Alright. Well, that's a nothing change. Swain. Sold fragments. Restore mana. A slumber shark coming in 2 months. Let's get some Myokigasms in the chat. Truly appreciate that, bud. I'm not going to go over Swain. I don't know enough about the champ to tell you what's good or bad about these changes. Same with Silas. It's exhausting trying to keep up. There's like 5 champions that are in every single patch notes. Akali, Aatrox, Silas, Rise. It's exhausting trying to keep up with them, honestly. Tom Kinch, passive damage, health, scaling increased. Stacks no longer increase ability damage. Abilities no longer apply stacks. Q no longer has a melee range arc. Oh. Stun now consumes all stacks. Ooh, that's rough. So now you can't stun him and then walk up and eat him instantly. It's kind of his combo. Ouch. An acquired taste abilities no longer deal bonus damage, magic damage, passive stats, remove. It's a big patch, man. I didn't realize how big this patch was. Okay. W recast timer decreased. Whatever. This is just the same as Singe, toggling. Yuumi, passive shield decreased. Mana restore removed. Ouch. So there's basically no reason to get off of your ally as Yuumi. Absolutely no reason. In lane. Q empowered damage decreased, cost increased. E missing HP scaling increased, cost decreased. See, this is kind of whack because this is the most frustrating part of champions like Yuumi and initially Sylas. I hate missing HP scaling health like regens or heals. I hate getting someone down to 10% HP and then them pressing a button and getting even more than they would have if they had used that ability early. I understand that you can argue that it's like skill expression, like you waited until the last moment to get that heal off, but you probably didn't. You were probably spamming it and you happened to get it off before you died. I don't like that. I also don't like that they removed this. I'm fine with Q empowered damage decreased. That's fine. There's no real counterplay to it. I mean, there's a lot of lanes where you're just taking empowered Qs and you're just like, well, I guess I just got the lane, but I guess I have to go back again. Yeah, I don't like that they're increasing this and decreasing the cost, because that's probably the most frustrating part of the champ. Ranged top laners. Handful of top laners are the dominant picks in pro play because of the combination of their status as safe early pick in the draft order and their potential to heavy punish unfavorable matchups in the early game. Jace. Okay, this is kind of another area where I'm just going to let another creator. If you really want to know about these changes, you should go to another creator. Rhyme is a really good Kennen one trick. You should go to him and see how he feels about these changes. But not my place. I think I've covered everything that is important to us as support players. You know, new Pyke skin coming out. Crazy Pyke skin. So a little bit of a overview. Terrible Leona changes. I genuinely think they're going to be an overall nerf or just a... Even if they don't end up being a nerf or a very, very minor buff, I don't like that they removed her passive. I think it really takes away skill expression, and the top 0.1% of Leona players that really put in the hours to learn her and to learn how to squeeze every bit of damage and skill expression out of her, you're just boned now. There's that much. You already couldn't do that much. There's already a limited amount of like true mastery you can express through her, and they've just removed another bit of it. So terrible change. Crazy Pyke bonus. Decent bard buffs, and yeah, guys. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the changes down in the comments. Take it easy. Peace.